The house on Gibson Street was quiet that Saturday morning. Too quiet for a family gathering. Erin Patterson had set the table for 6, polishing the cutlery until she could see her reflection in every knife. The beef Wellington, her signature dish, rested on the counter under a foil tent, its buttery pastry gleaming with egg wash. The air smelled of rosemary and garlic, but beneath it lingered something earthy, damp, like rain on decaying leaves. She'd invited them for lunch, her ex-husband's parents, Gail and Don Patterson, along with Gail's sister Heather and Heather's husband, Ian. It was supposed to be a gesture of peace after years of strained family ties. But even as Erin fussed with the napkins, her hands trembled slightly. At 12:15, they arrived, smiling, bearing wine and flowers. By 3 p.m., laughter echoed through the kitchen. By midnight, 3 of them were dead. And Erin, once the quiet mother who lived down the lane, would become the center of one of Australia's most chilling domestic mysteries. Erin had always been private, almost reclusive. After her separation from Simon Patterson, she stayed in the family home with their 2 children. Her ex-in-laws, Gail and Don, visited occasionally to help with the kids. The tension was unspoken but constant. They blamed her for the marriage breakdown. She resented their interference. When she invited them for lunch in July 2023, no one suspected anything sinister. Erin told her friends she wanted to make peace, a nice meal, a proper chat, no drama. The meal went perfectly. The Wellington was tender, the pastry flaky. Only Erin didn't eat the mushrooms herself. "Oh, I'm not feeling great," she said lightly, taking small bites of salad instead. The next day, all 4 guests fell violently ill. By Monday, 3 were dead: Gail, Don, and Heather. Ian, barely clinging to life, was flown to Melbourne for treatment. The cause, Amanita phalloides, the death cap mushroom, one of the deadliest organisms on Earth. The story hit the news within 48 hours. Reporters camped outside Erin's house. The beef Wellington killer, they called her, though the police hadn't charged anyone yet. Erin's interviews didn't help. She wept, insisted it was an accident, that she'd bought the mushrooms from an Asian grocery store. "I would never, ever hurt them," she said, voice breaking. Yet her calm demeanor and evasive answers only deepened suspicion. Investigators found inconsistencies. Erin's ex-husband, Simon, had been invited but cancelled last minute, sparing his life. The dehydrator Erin used to prepare the mushrooms, she'd allegedly thrown it away at the local dump. Detectives retrieved it, scorched and cleaned, as if someone had tried to destroy evidence. Was it carelessness or cover-up? The pathology reports confirmed it. All victims had ingested death cap mushrooms. Each cap contains enough oxytocin to destroy the liver. But where had Erin gotten them? Foragers and experts said death caps grew locally near oak trees, indistinguishable from edible varieties to the untrained eye. Friends said Erin was a confident cook, but not a forager. She bought everything from the market, one neighbor said. She'd never go picking in the bush. Online sleuths began their rising. Some believed Erin meant to harm Simon, her ex-husband, and the others were collateral. Others said it was a cry for attention gone tragically wrong. The narrative morphed into obsession. Podcasts, Reddit threads, and documentaries dissecting every pause in her interviews. Ian Wilkinson, the lone survivor, awoke weeks later from a medically induced coma. His liver transplant had saved him, but his recovery was slow. He could barely speak. When investigators finally questioned him, his recollection was hazy but heartfelt. "She seemed kind," he whispered. "She wanted us together again." His forgiveness stirred public debate. Was Erin a murderer or a woman trapped in tragedy? Meanwhile, prosecutors gathered evidence. Forensic traces on the dehydrator matched the toxins found in the victims. Erin's internet searches included death cap symptoms and how to induce vomiting. Her lawyer argued she'd been researching after realizing the mushrooms had made them ill. The prosecution called it premeditation. The line between negligence and intent blurred completely. The trial began in 2023, drawing global attention. The courtroom overflowed with journalists and spectators. Erin sat motionless, hands folded in her lap, hair neatly tied. The prosecution painted her as manipulative, a woman fueled by resentment toward her ex-husband's family. They argued she intentionally poisoned them using wild death caps. The defense countered, Erin had been careless, not cruel. They pointed to her grief, her cooperation, her consistent denial of intent. Her children testified they'd eaten leftovers days before, with no ill effect. But toxicologists explained that only the mushroom-filled portions were deadly. By the time closing arguments ended, public opinion was split: monster or misunderstood mother. When the verdict was read, the courtroom fell silent. Guilty, on 3 counts of murder and 1 of attempted murder. Erin closed her eyes but did not cry. Her lawyer's hand on her shoulder did nothing to break the stillness. Outside, protesters clashed, some chanting justice for the Pattersons, others holding signs that read it could have been a mistake. In prison interviews months later, Erin maintained her innocence. It was an accident, she said. I loved them. I swear I didn't mean for anyone to die. But the world had already decided. The mushroom murders became a symbol of domestic tension turned fatal, of love soured by distrust, and of how ordinary lives can conceal extraordinary horror. Years later, the case still haunts Australia. True crime documentaries replay the footage. Podcasts dissect her words. Writers call it the perfect suburban horror, a home-cooked meal turned massacre. A book titled The Mushroom Tapes revived the story, exploring psychology, culpability, and the fragility of family ties. In interviews, one author said, "What chills us most isn't that Erin was different from us, it's that she wasn't." Somewhere, in a quiet prison cell, Erin Patterson still cooks simple meals. Never mushrooms. Never again.